This is the Pure Fury Creations Entertainment Network.
Here's the thing. And that's when it goes.
Go ahead. It's my day.
And the masters of the universe.
Something that you enjoy, like TV Guide.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
I pity the fool. And we welcome you to What the 80s here on the PFC Entertainment Network. Along with Jill Bain, I'm Jason Klaus. We certainly appreciate you tuning in here this week. We have a fun list that we're going to break down, probably butcher the shit out of it in some regards, because that's what I like doing with lists nowadays. We are going to be looking back on this day in 80s history and so much more on this action-packed episode. But before we get to all that, Jill, always a pleasure to see you.
Same.
I can't help but notice that in the background, you have your Creepy Soup baseball jersey that you ordered from the PFC Spring store. So it's kind of cool to see something like that materialize in that way. And I say materialize purposely because we want to give something of a PSA here. Do we not?
Yeah. Definitely a must.
So, listen, when Printify added the baseball jerseys to their catalog, like, I was stoked. I'm a big baseball fan. So I'm like, holy shit, I can actually create baseball jerseys with our logos and whatnot on them. 100% I'm on that. I had more fun making that line than I did with the Christmas stuff, if I can be honest with you. Oh yeah. I know, bold statement, but I'm dead ass right now. So I was really looking forward to it.
Same.
And then, right, I had we launched the store, and then I put in my order. You had put in your order. Both of us, our orders were canceled. So we had to go back and reorder it for whatever reason. That it was a Printify thing, not a PFC thing. And you got yours. And it wasn't exactly what I was hoping in terms of feedback, but this also goes hand in hand where I feel like the distributors could have been a little bit more transparent as to what exactly we were dealing with.
Yeah.
Because the material that these are actually printed on, as Jill had said, it kind of feels like a glorified, like a sleep shirt. Is that accurate? Is that fair?
Yes. Now, I love this on the sleeve. And this on the sleeve. I love the whole thing. Like, it looks amazing. I love it, but it looks like, and I mean, I don't know if you can tell a size or whatever. I wanted it roomy, so I ordered a 2X, and it fits like a large.
That's the other thing I was worried about.
Yeah.
Was the sizing of it.
Yeah.
Because I'm with you, very much with you on that. I like my jerseys roomy. Football jerseys, baseball jerseys, none of that. Anything really. I don't like feeling like I'm constricted. You know what I mean?
You're going to hulk your clothes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's difficult. When you look like, I'm totally kidding. Totally kidding. But no, I want my shit roomy too, and a 2X should fit like a 2X. That's why people buy it that way. So there is a little bit of dissension here. Now, full disclosure, mine is coming at the end of next week. So I'll be able to compare and contrast, because what Jill had ordered, what she just showed here on the screen, was the women's jersey. I ordered a men's jersey with the Klaus to the Heart logo on it, the awesome 24/7 on the back. So I'm going to be curious to see what that looks like, especially size wise, you know, because go ahead.
I was going to say, my guess is, and women listening can probably go, yep. Women's shit always runs smaller if it's supposed to be cut for women. And that's like one reason why, like, when the Women's Day shirts came out this year, I didn't order, because I ordered one last year and I ordered like a 2X because, again, I like my shit roomy. So, no, it was the same thing. But women's cut shirts always seem to run small. And I don't understand why. If anyone out there knows why, please explain.
Inquiry minds want to know.
But I'm guessing yours will probably be roomy the way you want it.
What was unique about designing those is when I went in to make the men's jerseys first, it didn't give me the option to put anything across the front of it like what you've got going on. Yeah. I could just put the logo on the chest, real small like, and then the back is the back. So I wasn't even I wasn't allowed to do anything much like the women's does. And when I started to make the women's, line up, I'm like, oh shit! Well, this is what I wanted to do for the men's jerseys too, because that's a traditional baseball look for it. You know what I'm saying? And
honestly, that was the main reason I got the one I got, is because of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm going to be real interested to see how mine looks, and when I do get it, you're going to be the first call that I make, probably video chat, be like, this is what this looks like.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So if anybody, and we're not saying this to scare people away from ordering from our online store, just please be aware, and if you are even on the cusp of, you're not sure if it's going to be big enough or what have you, you may want to side towards the men's lineup if they are indeed made differently, cut differently, versus your traditional woman's apparel. So I'd be curious to know why that's a thing too. Why do women's clothes run smaller, even though the tag on them says 2X or 1X or what have you?
Yeah.
Very frustrating, and I can understand that.
Yeah, I think it's made to be like form fitting. Look, my form does not need to be fitted, because no.
Oh, that's fun. That's the soundbite for the week right there. Oh, okay. That's our PSA for the store this week. I do want to make mention. We are about ready to launch the summer lineup. I think I said originally it was going to be April 1st, April Fool's Day. I'm actually going to kick it back a little bit and go with April the 15th. I need a little bit more time. So April 15th, the summer lineup will drop. Plus, April 15th is tax day. Yeah. And now a lot of people look forward to that day. So we're going to give them something to look forward to on that particular day.
Absolutely.
So April the 15th, you can check out the new summer lineup over at pfcstore.printify.me. But by the time we get there, that store will be pfcsummer.printify.me. So Stay tuned, as it were.
I love the
aside
hat.
from all that, huh?
I got the hat too, and I love the hat.
Do you? The
Yeah.
hat turned out cool?
Yeah, I love the hat.
That's good news. Thank God something turned out right. Is it embroidered?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wish I would have brought that in with me too, but I didn't.
So that kind of balances out my disappointment with the jersey.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, the
you
hat
win
is
some, you
awesome.
lose some.
I love it. Love the hat.
I'm great. I'm happy to hear that part of it. All right. Anything else going on this week? How's your week been?
It was pretty good. I don't remember if I mentioned it, but like the sleeves I have to wear broke me out, and I'm having trouble getting rid of that. Even though they gave me different sleeves now, which are much better, but yeah, I'm having issues now with that. So, hydrocortisone cream and antihistamines, yay!
No shit.
Yeah,
Just an allergic reaction?
yeah,
Huh. Is it those Kevlar sleeves?
yep,
Really?
yeah.
Huh. That right there, when I even think about going over to Body Shop, I'm like, oh, damn, you got to wear them sleeve gimmicks.
Yep, and you can't wear
And I don't know if I
shorts.
want to do that when it's 90-something outside. Well, it's climate controlled. I don't give a fuck. They don't know how to operate those buttons.
No, it's not.
Fuck that then.
There are fans though, so that
Okay.
helps tremendously.
You remember in the old trim shop where they had the fans mounted above us, and
Yep.
I mean it blew warm air around, but at least you got some sort of circulation.
Yeah.
And then we go into the new trim shop, not a fan to be found, and it's like, what are you doing? Well,
Yeah.
it's climate controlled.
Well, they
then
control
turn
it.
on.
Yeah,
I mean, what the fuck are we doing? Because you can't tell me it's 70 degrees in here right now. You know, not when I'm taking 3 steps down the line and I've looked like I've wrestled an Iron Man match. You know,
Right,
it just
yeah.
something ain't flying. I maintain, Joe Bain, all we need is a little common sense.
a little bit goes a
If we
long
just-
way.
It doesn't have to be over the top. Just a little.
Just,
And you're right. It would go so far,
yeah,
and it would make people like me not hate the world as much as I'm starting to. I'm losing faith in humanity. Yeah, it's not that deep. It's not that important. Fuck.
give us something.
Give me something to work with here. Something.
Anything.
But that's why we do this fine program every week. So we do have that escape from the here and now. And we can go back to a simpler time, at least for us. You know,
Yeah.
I'd give almost anything to hop into a DeLorean or a phone booth or a refrigerator or anything that will take me back in time
Yeah,
to relive some of the magic that was the 1980s. So with that being said, why don't we go ahead and take a look at today in 80s history here as a part of What the 80s on the PFG Network. On this segment, this is where we look back on this particular day that the show drops in 80s history. So we are looking at March the 26th. That's when this show is going to drop on Wednesday, even though we're recording it a few days beforehand. It does drop on the 26th, so that's what we're going to focus on. The major headlines on this day in the 80s. In 1982, the first ceremony for the Vietnam Veterans Memorial was held in Washington, D.C. The Money Pit, starring Tom Hanks and Shelley Long, premiered in theaters. And the number one song in 1988 became something of an anthem, and we'll talk more about this later on in the program, but this is on the top headlines, the first 3 headlines of the 1980s. In 1988, we got the release of Man in the Mirror by Michael Jackson, and it does go to the #1 spot. Do you remember the music video that they made with this song?
I don't know.
He took a lot of news archival footage of Gandhi and people, kids in Ethiopia who were starving, John Kennedy being assassinated, Robert Kennedy being assassinated, just a lot of not so great moments in world history, and they took the different clips from it and incorporated it into this music video. I think that's why. Like, the song's great. The song has a very powerful message, but it's the music video that really makes this song stand out for me. Because when I even hear the title, I'm like, that's what I'm doing. I'm replaying the music video, and that was one of those instances where the video made the song for me, because I don't know if it would resonate as deeply as it did if they didn't do that with the video. It's hard to say, but where you at in Man in the Mirror? You remember that song?
Yep, I do. I mean, I don't hate it. I don't love it. I won't turn it if it comes on the radio. But it was, and after you started talking about what the video was, I do remember it, and you're right, it was very impactful.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're talking about you being the change, and very impactful.
One of my favorite quotes that I actually live by: "Be the change that you want to see in the world."
Yep.
And I had a good friend of mine send that to me a couple of years ago as I was embarking in podcasting. And it had always resonated with me, but to know that he took the time to send that to me again, like it refreshed everything. And it does start with us. We can sit here in bits all day long, but if we're not willing to help be a part of the solution, it's just white noise at this point.
Yeah.
Oh. In 1989, the first free elections were held in the Soviet Union. Over 190 million votes were cast for the first time that they had something of a democratic election in the Soviet Union. Timely, but it doesn't age well. Be that as it may. Here are some birthdays of people who were notable or impactful in the 1980s. Not born in the 80s, but this is where they would experience their heyday, their prime, I guess. And they were very prominent in pop culture or the world overall. Diana Ross, singer of the Supremes. Lead singer of Aerosmith, Steven Tyler. Vicki Lawrence from Mama's Family. We talked about her last week, I believe. Ernest Lee Thomas from What's Happening. Roger from What's Happening. You remember that show?
Yeah.
Martin Short, actor. Lisa Gibbons, talk show host, formerly of Entertainment Tonight. She's gone on and done a bunch of other projects, but she was one of I liked her more than I liked Mary Hart, if I can be honest.
Yeah, and I haven't heard that name in so long. She even had a talk show.
Yeah. Always liked her.
Mm-hmm.
Football player Marcus Allen was born on this day, as was Jennifer Grey from Dirty Dancing. John Stockton, famous NBA basketball player. That's pretty much it for birthdays. Leonard Nimoy.
Oh, can't forget him.
Spock.
Live long
James
and prosper.
Caan. And Teddy Pendergrass. God, I haven't heard that name in a minute.
Yeah, that's
That guy had a cool voice.
yeah.
All right. Movies that were released on this day in the 80s. 1982, I Ought to Be in Pictures, starring Walter Matthau, Anne Margaret, and Dinah Manoff. Siskel and Ebert said it was one of the worst films of the year. And then 1986, The Money Pit with Tom Hanks and Shelley Long. They had a $10 million budget, and they brought in $54.9 million in the box office. On the television side of things, in 1982, the final episode of Password Plus aired after 4 seasons and 801 episodes. Final episode of The Colbys, which was a spin-off of Dynasty for those who were not in the loop. 1988 saw the final episode of What's Happening Now, which was kind of a reboot to the original What's Happening show, where they were able to bring back a lot of the main characters, which is what made that show somewhat successful, more than I thought it was going to be. They actually went 3 seasons.
Oh wow!
With that, yeah, I was really surprised. And then Quantum Leap premiered on NBC on this day in 1989.
I loved that show.
Did you?
Yes.
All right. These are the albums that were released on this day in 1980. 1980, they had 3 albums released on this day. Naughty by Shaka Khan. Women and Children First by Van Halen. And then Welcome to the Club by Ian Hunter, a live album. In 1981, we got The Dude from Quincy Jones. 1981, we also saw Fancy Free by the Oak Ridge Boys. Oak Ridge Boys were a cool band.
Yeah.
I really dug them. 1984, the United Kingdom would release That's What I Call Music Part 2. These became very popular compilation albums.
Yes.
Like they were all over the place for a hot minute. And then Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers released Southern Accents in 1985. Nothing really to talk about sports-wise other than in 1987, the three-point shot was allowed in high school games. High school basketball games, I guess I should say. And in 1981, the Social Democratic Party was founded in the United Kingdom. All right. And here are the number 1 songs of every year on this day in the 1980s. In 1980, it was Another Brick in the Wall, Part 2 by Pink Floyd. 1981, Keep On Loving You by REO Speedwagon. I Love Rock and Roll by Joan Jett in 1982. Billie Jean in 1983 from Michael Jackson. In 1984, it was Jump by Van Halen. 1985, again, another REO Speedwagon song, Can't Fight This Feeling. 86, These Dreams by Heart. 87, Lean On Me, the remake of Lean On Me. 1988, Man in the Mirror. In 1989, The Living Years by Mike and the Mechanics. And that's going to catch us up on this day in the 1980s. March the 26th. Can you believe we're just a handful of days away from the start of April? Isn't that fucking stupid?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, all right. And I just dumped a tremendous amount of information right in your lap. But was there anything that stood out like, ooh, that was an important album, that was an important event, that was an important anything on this day?
I would say Heart, These Dreams, because if I'm not mistaken, that's the one that Nancy actually did the vocals for instead of Anne.
I believe that's accurate. Yes.
And
Yep.
and I love Heart. I love them. I love them so much. And in like the mid to late 80s, they were huge because, they had the hair and they kind of had like the hairband look. And I don't know. I just love Heart. Love them.
I didn't appreciate them until later on. And what really set them apart for me was they did a cover of Stairway to Heaven
And yes.
during the Kennedy Honors Dinner.
Mm-hmm.
I would implore, if you want to watch and you want to listen to one of the best cover songs, you want to just the overall presentation of a good musically composed, powerful vocals, go on YouTube right now. Hit pause on this.
Mm-hmm.
Go to YouTube. Look up Heart Sings Stairway to Heaven.
You will not be disappointed.
And, bro, when you've got Robert Plant and Jimmy Page, who wrote the fucking thing,
Yeah.
sitting in the crowd with tears running down their faces, and John Bonham's kid is on drums, former drummer for the actual band,
Yep.
you will not, on this day, find a more emotionally charged performance anywhere on the internet. It is worth a listen.
I got my internet thing going.
A watch. It is amazing. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, Heart's got it going on. So I can appreciate that. Did you freeze? We're going to give Jill a moment here or two. She may have frozen. We're having some. There she is. All right, great.
I'm back.
At least you didn't have to go back to the virtual waiting room.
Yeah.
We'll be talking about that part at the very end of the program. But before we get there, we have a list.
Yes.
Jill, you went ahead and found another good list here.
Thank you.
And this is something that's going to be right in your wheelhouse. And I feel like it's going to be something that I can put my own twisted take on it. And for a couple of these, because I did actually scroll through the majority of this thing just to see what I was dealing with here. But because when you have a list that says 20 classic guilty pleasure songs from the 1980s, this is where we're going to have to get granular about what is a guilty pleasure, right?
Yeah.
Generally speaking, it's going to be those songs that resonated with us that may not have gotten mainstream popularity. It's not going to be on a lot of compilation playlist or anything like that, or that you would let people in on just because they may have an opinion of it one way or the other, or about you. Yeah. I have always subscribed to that being bullshit. Music is as individualized as anything that we have at our disposal. You like things that I don't, and vice versa.
Yep. And when we go through this, because I do have a playlist on my Spotify called Essentially 80s. Okay. Or Essential 80s or something like that. And I will let you know which of these songs are on that playlist.
Well, what got my attention was the first song they had on here. As far as a guilty pleasure, I would put this song as a guilty pleasure. It's on my playlist. Is it?
Yes.
Toto's Africa is one of those. I could not stand this song for the longest time when I was a kid. This came out very early on in the 80s. And I remember when hearing it on the radio, I'm like, this is the dumbest fucking song I've ever heard. a Toto. Like what are we doing? But nowadays, when I hear it, this was probably the number one song on my brother's Guilty Pleasures playlist. So now when I hear it, I think of him because I didn't know he liked this song until one day we were on our way to a show and he just started singing the song. It didn't come on the radio. He just started talking the lyrics out. And I remember driving, I'm like, are you singing Africa? So now I actually have the Weezer version of it on my playlist, on my brother's playlist, and it's the first song I hear. So it was ironic that this song was first on the list. Where are you at on Africa?
You know what? I love the song, and it's not even like, I don't know why. I just do. I don't know. I love the song. I always have. And when I made the Essential 80s playlist, that was probably the first song I added.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm. I love that song.
Well, let me tell you a song that's not going to be on my playlist. And this is not a guilty pleasure. I cannot stand this son of a bitch. This is one that I will turn immediately.
This one might be on my playlist, but I usually skip it.
The original band was called Jefferson Starship. And back in the 70s, Jefferson Starship was...
Jefferson Airplane.
Thank you. Yes, Jefferson Airplane. That was a band. Mm-hmm. They were putting out shit where I'm like, that is probably one of the most powerful women voices I had ever heard up until that time.
Yeah.
Like that voice stood out. I'm a voice guy. I have always been a voice guy. You've got to stand out for it to register. Mm-hmm. Then as we got into the 80s, they like reinvented the whole thing. It's kind of blew the whole thing up, and we're going to try something different. We're going to try a different approach. We got Starship, and with that, we built this city. Mm-hmm. This song may be, in my estimation, one of the most undeserving mainstream hits there's ever been. I just cannot with this. Where are you at?
You know what? It's one of those. I don't love it. Don't necessarily hate it. It's just there, I guess. It's just there. It exists.
Yeah.
And, I think, honestly, if it had a different beat to it, it could have been good.
So are you suggesting that, by that logic, if we were to recompose the song, it would make it more tolerable?
Possibly. Because I don't hate the lyrics. It's the music itself that I'm...
I don't know. It's the music. It's the melody. It's just the shits. It's just the drizzling shits. Can't do it. I don't know. My girl is something of a songwriter. Okay, and she really dials into music and composing and shit like that. And she's amazing. She's much more amazing than she gives herself credit for. If anybody could turn this piece of shit into something that could be tolerable for me, I would task her with that. But I don't even know if she can do anything with this. I mean, because at the end of the day, you can polish it as much as you want, but at the end of the day, it's still a dog turd. Just my view, just my opinion. I'm sure somebody who's listening to this, that's my favorite fucking song of all time, and I'm insulted and blah, 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 and I need an apology. Mm-hmm. there it is.
Yeah.
In all of its not really. Look, everybody has their thing. I get it.
You know, and like it was a huge song.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why it was as huge as it was. I really don't. I really and truly don't. Because I don't know. It's not a greatest anything, I don't think. Maybe greatest flop. I don't know. Like I said, I think lyrically, I like it. But the music, the rhythm of it, I don't know. That's, yeah.
Well, if I have offended anybody who is a big fan of this song, I sincerely apologize. I'm sorry that your musical tastes are what they are. It's truly unfortunate. Jesse's Girl by Rick Springfield here. This became, this was the song that put him on the map. You know, between this and his appearance was at General Hospital, he became a heartthrob in the early portion of the 1980s. Jesse's Girl is, that was his claim to fame. This is not going on my playlist, if I can be honest with you. It's on yours, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
You like this song?
Yes, and this is the one I will turn it up and sing in my car, the top of my lungs.
Are you serious?
Oh, yes. Love that song. Love it.
It's okay.
Love it.
Hey, do you do karaoke?
No, God, no. I do my car karaoke.
Well, you said you sing in the car. That's why I was like, hey, when you sing in the car, are you preparing yourself for your next appearance on stage?
Absolutely not. No. No one deserves that.
Oh, that's funny. All right, this one, I don't know if this can be classified as a guilty pleasure. I mean, unless you're a church-going type of folk, which, no disrespect, but by and large, like, this is a pretty commonly accepted song, and especially by the band.
Yeah.
Girls, Girls, Girls by Motley Crue. I think of Motley Crue, this is one of the first songs that come to mind. I feel like this was on the Theater of Pain album, if I'm not mistaken.
Girls, Girls, Girls.
Oh, was it its own album?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was the one that came out after Theater of Pain. Because that was kind of where they went from, like, the more glam to the more tough biker-looking look, but still glam.
Yeah. I couldn't remember if that was the actual name of the album, but now that you say that, it kind of sounds like that might be a thing. I remember the Theater of Pain album because we were forbidden to listen to it because they were devil worshippers.
Yeah.
You're not listening to the devil's music. Meanwhile, I'm listening to AC/DC talking about Hell's Bells and
Highway to Hell. Yeah.
Highway to Hell. Yeah. You're like, okay, well, I won't listen to Motley Crue.
Now, the first band T-shirt I ever had was the Motley Crue Theater of Pain album cover on the front and the song list on the back. I was in elementary school. If that tells you anything. And I was wearing it, walking down the hall, and my principal, who, when you're in elementary and you're like 4'5", and your 6'3" female principal is walking behind you, reading the song titles, and she gets to Louder Than Hell.
I see the dissension here.
Yep. She wasn't rude or ignorant. She was just, I'm going to have to ask you to not wear that shirt again. Okay. And I didn't. I didn't wear it to school. Once I got to junior high, I did because I didn't give a shit.
Right.
But, and they didn't care either. But yeah, my principal kindly asked me not to wear that shirt.
I had one of those moments too, but it wasn't at school, and it wasn't a Motley Crue shirt. Back in my mom, her father, my grandfather, lived in Kentucky, and she went down to go visit him. And when she came back, she had stopped at some country store, and she had bought me a Hank Jr. t-shirt. I've always been a big Hank Jr. fan, Hank Williams Jr. And she had bought me a shirt with him on it, and it also had the Jim Beam logo, not knowing what Jim Beam was at that time. Do you know what Awanas are? The Awana group from church? It's okay. So on Wednesdays, kids were invited to go to church to learn about the Bible, and then the other half was spent playing games in the gym. It was very much geared towards kids, trying to get kids in to learn the Word of God, right? A bunch of my buddies went to this. They invited me. I wanted to wear what I thought was my best shirt. So I grabbed my brand new Hank Jr. shirt with the Jim Beam logo on it, and I was politely asked, we don't wear stuff like this in church. And I was like, oh. So, but the thing of this is my mom and dad didn't know I wore that shirt out of the house. So when I came back and told them I can't wear this shirt, like my mom was mortified. Like, why would you wear that? And you made me look. I'll never forget that. I will never forget that. I felt so bad. I didn't know, I'm like, what do I wear? Anything you want. Fine. I had no idea. Fuck me, I guess. Lost my list here. I could see why this song is on the guilty pleasure list, but it ain't on my playlist.
Mine either.
Mickey.
Nope.
This may be one of the most mocked songs of all time. Mickey by Tony Basil. Probably, I mean, if nothing else, it has probably one of the catchiest and most remembered choruses or lines in there that's ever been recorded, if we can be honest. It's just too damn bad it's attached to this piece of shit.
I 100% agree. And, I was at that age where, all my friends loved it and sang it, and I fucking hated it. Hated it. I would play it to irritate my brothers, though.
That's the whole purpose of this song, is to annoy the shit out of people. Yep. Tie them up and just blare that shit for, on repeat. Or back then it was play, stop, rewind, play, stop, rewind.
Yep.
Oh, shit. Oh, Mickey, you're so fine. You're so fine. You blow my mind. Hey, Mickey.
Hey, Mickey. See, and you probably haven't heard it in years, but you still remember the... Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Let me tell you what's not ridiculous. And this song, this is the third week in a row this song has popped up in some regard.
Yep.
Goddamn Rick Astley. I'm never going to give you up. Yes, guilty pleasure. Yes, this is on my playlist, and I do not care. This has become one of them cult following songs. I feel like, and it's like, we really like this song, but we can't tell anybody. But everybody fucking likes it. It's one of them weird dynamics.
Yeah. And I think like the whole Rick roll thing, like really like where you would send a link to somebody and, for, let's just say, to send to a female, like Charlie Hunnam shirtless. And you click on it thinking you're going to see him shirtless. Nope. It's Rick Astley. Then Rick rolls.
Yeah, that is as classic of a definition of guilty pleasure as I think I'm ever going to find on, especially on this list. Because coming in at next here, I don't really feel like this is a guilty pleasure. This song was number one for a hot minute, and not by accident.
No.
Bon Jovi's "Living on a Prayer." This is one of the songs that put the "Slippery When Wet" album on a whole different level. First it was "You Give Love a Bad Name." That was the first song that came out.
Yep.
This one followed it, and this one eclipsed the aforementioned. And to this day, you see this song utilized in commercials and in different scenes where they're trying to tell the story of a real strong bond, a strong connection generally between a man and woman. The story behind the song, the story of the song, is pretty damn powerful. And as a 10-year-old kid, when this song came out, I'm like, that's powerful shit. It really is. But Bon Jovi, people, I feel like Bon Jovi was teetering on becoming the 80s version of what happened with Nickelback. But at the same time, like, they continued to reinvent themselves and remain relevant.
Yeah.
Now, as a sidebar, and I'm sure I'll get shit for this, I like Nickelback. I don't think they're a bad band. They have a cool sound. The dude has a unique voice. I like what they sing about. What's the fucking problem?
Right.
That's just my 2 cents. Dear God, this one, I'm conflicted on this one. Mick Jagger and David Bowie. Now, you're talking about two very talented, very well-known musical artists. Mick Jagger, for those who are not in the loop, and if you're not, I have other questions. We'll save them for another day.
Who Raised You is the first one.
Well, sure. And then the second one is, are you okay? Mick Jagger's the lead singer of the Rolling Stones. Okay. One of the best known. I mean, we're talking about rock and roll royalty when we're talking about the Rolling Stones. Yeah. Right? We can agree on that. Now, David Bowie is a little bit more controversial in some regards. Just, he was his own character, his own gimmick.
Yep.
But you can't take anything away from the dude's musical talents. So you put them together and you have them remake Dancing in the Streets. Okay? Now, the song itself originally was released under the Motown label. Was it Martha Reeves and the Vandells?
I believe so, yes.
But to hear Jagger and Bowie redo it, remake it, I didn't think they did a bad job. But it's all the buzz that went around the filming of the video, and people were starting to call into question what was the real nature of this business partnership okay. Rumors started going around that those two had been intimate with one another. And it really set the music world on fire. Again, as a kid, this is the first time something like this came across my radar. To the point to where, to this day, all these years later, at damn near 49 years old, when I saw this, I'm like, this is my first thought with this song because of all the controversy. Does it take away from the end result? Yeah, it kind of did, because I'm a lot more knowledgeable nowadays. I have my own opinion. But in the 80s, when AIDS came around, man, like we didn't have a whole lot of knowledge. When you heard something like that was happening with Mick Jagger and David Bowie, it did cast a cloud over this song.
I agree.
Resonated for a long time. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Now, the song itself, did you like it?
Yeah, not on a playlist, but I like it.
Mm-hmm. Remaking Motown songs is a very tricky thing, right? I mean, Motown had its very own distinct aura to it, you know. Quincy Jones unlocked so much talent. And, you know, the cool part of it is it was based here in Detroit, which is probably why I have such a fanfare for it nowadays, you know. But remaking anything under the Motown label it's going to make or break a lot of people, the song especially. You hear things that people have redone by Stevie Wonder. Superstition comes to mind. Stevie Ray Vaughan did an amazing rendition of that. Yes. I can't remember the other artist that did it, but completely tanked it. But Stevie Ray, you know, he redid that. There are some great covers of Motown songs. There are some real shit ones too. This one with Jagger and Bowie, somewhere in the middle for me, if I can be honest.
Yeah, I would agree. Again, I like the song. I don't, but again, the rumor surrounding the whole thing did kind of, but yeah.
Took some of the wind out of the sails.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, and I know folks heard this and like, oh, you closed-minded fuck. No, you don't understand. When this shit was going on, we didn't have nearly the amount of information that we do nowadays. The media was a very, very strong voice in that time. And, you know, people that we knew, people that we were fans of, were contracting this thing called AIDS, and it was killing motherfuckers. And the way it was relayed is this happens only when gay sex is going on, or gay activity. You know, that's how. And I promise you, this is not my point of view on this. This is how it was presented.
Yep.
Until later on, you're like, okay, well, this is nothing what you had originally said.
Right.
But
exactly.
Scary time. That could be its own episode at some point.
Yeah.
Oh, how far we've come, right?
Yeah.
All right. Mr. Roboto. I just can't. It just isn't my thing, man. The video creeped me out. The song creeped me out. I didn't like it then. It's not on my list now. Where are you at with Mr. Roboto by Styx?
You know, it's not on my list. It's not on my playlist. It's, again, one of those songs. I don't hate it. My favorite part of it was when I started dating Roy. Kilroy. Because it's from the album Kilroy Was Here.
Oh. Okay, well, you got sentimental, emotional attachment to it. So
oh, no, I sang that to torture him. Like, first of all, I sang it, Torture 1, and then Kilroy.
That's fun.
I have issues.
That's going to be a new t-shirt over there at Creepy Soup. Be sure to check that out. I have issues. Speaking of creepy soup, there's been activity down here this weekend,
Yeah.
and my picture falling off my perfectly level shelf. There's no reason why that picture just fell. No reason. Okay. I feel like somebody put this on the list just to trigger me. Wake me, wake me up before you go by Wham. I'm going to tell you something about Wham.
You hate them?
The one song I can tolerate, I would have been okay with on here. That's Careless Whisper. We've talked about this.
Yep.
Everything else that the band put out, including and not limited to that dog shit awful Christmas song that they did, is the absolute drizzling shits.
Yeah.
I am just not a fan. Now, George Michael on his own did amazing shit. Big fan.
Mm-hmm.
Big fan. Wham?
No.
Nah. No, not on my list. Not on my radar. Where are you at?
I hate this song. And again, my husband hates it probably more than I do. I would dare to say maybe more than you.
That's a bold-ass statement.
He hates this song. Hates it. Like, hate. So, sometimes he sleeps later, but he'll say, like, if he's got to get up and do something, he's so awesome. He goes and gets my gas now that we don't have Yoshi at work anymore. And he'll say, start the sentence, wake me up. And of course, I got to finish it with, fuck you. Get your own gas. He still gets it, but he says it.
Oh, that's fun. Oh, that poor man.
Yeah.
I can,
He needs all of your sympathies.
he's got it, 100%. He's got it. I have this next one. I have an appreciation for this song, and it is on one of my playlists. When I hear it, I think about the Detroit Pistons because they use this for a long time as their walkout music. But it does have one of the more iconic scores on there. Europe and the final countdown. This song epitomizes the 80s and for so many reasons, in my view.
Yeah.
Final countdown. Olivia Newton-John, Physical. Again, staple of the 80s was Olivia Newton-John.
Yes.
I don't know if I would put this on as a guilty pleasure. This song was everywhere. Everywhere. Exercise videos, music videos, commercials.
Mm-hmm.
To this day, people are using the music from this song to advertise something. Were you a fan of Olivia Newton-John?
Yeah.
But it's not on your list.
No, it's not. Not on my playlist. But probably because you forget about things until they're brought up, and that's one of them. It would if I would have remembered, it probably would be on my playlist.
Where you at with Phil Collins?
I like Phil Collins.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like him better on his own or when he was part of Genesis? Do you have a preference?
No.
I feel like Phil Collins is one of those guys where you hear his voice on the radio and it don't even matter if it's a Genesis song or one of his solo efforts. No, it's Phil Collins.
To me, like, he's got such like a soothing, smooth voice that, yeah, he could sing the alphabet, and I would be like, add to playlist.
Susudio is the song they have listed right here, and this is one of my favorites by him. So again, this is one that I would put on my list. I don't know. He's another one of those guys I had a better appreciation for later on. Nowadays, I don't know if you've seen him lately, but it's heartbreaking to see what, this is where we're at. When we were growing up, he was very, very prominent. He was all over the place.
Yeah.
They let him act in his own movie. He didn't do very well, but that was the power of his popularity.
Yeah.
But as a musician and as a drummer, he doesn't get enough love as a drummer.
I know he doesn't. Vocalist, absolutely, but no. And one of the first things I remember hearing, like my older brother say, like, it's very rare. I mean, maybe not so much now, but back then, to drum and sing.
Mm-hmm.
And
very few bands did that. Genesis and the Monkees were always the first two where I'm like, the drummer sings in this. Monkees. With the Monkees, they had, every one of them sang different songs. Mickey Dolenz sang the majority of them, but Davy Jones had his few hits. Daydream Believer comes to mind immediately. Mike Nesmith, his was more of the country sounding songs that the Monkees had put out, and anything that was goofy was Peter Tork's. But what the shit?
are you looking at the next one?
No, it completely blanked my screen out. Now I got to go all the way back down here. So yeah, Phil Collins, I appreciate him.
Yeah.
And way more. He's too good to be a guilty pleasure, I guess is my point.
Agreed, yes.
Oh. Okay. In the 1980s, if you were uber popular, people would try to get you to do anything and everything to put your name out there in an effort to get you out there to try to make money. Eddie Murphy was so popular, so successful, so funny, that people thought it would be a good idea to have him record an album. Even though the man can't sing a lick unless he is impersonating another singer. But bless his heart, he tried.
He tried.
Party All the Time came out, and while it did make some moves on the Billboard charts, it was out of curiosity more than anything.
I agree.
The man's not a singer.
No.
He's really not.
No, and and you had like Rick James working with him, and that was probably just a big booger sugar mess right there.
Oh goodness. Well, I know we're coming up on we're over the hour mark, so let's blast through a couple of these here. Hall & Oates, I don't know, man. I thought Hall & Oates was a decent group. I mean, it sucks what they've become nowadays. They're feuding with one another, but You Make My Dreams Come True. That's, I don't know, when I think of Hall & Oates, that's one of the first songs that I think of. They were hit makers for a long time, I feel like.
Yeah, I don't think that should be on a guilty pleasure list.
Total Eclipse of the Heart.
One of my favorites.
That's another one. if we were talking about one-hit wonders, I think I would put this song on that list.
No.
No?
Bonnie Tyler? No.
Listen, that's the only thing that comes across my radar with her.
It's a heartache. She did one for, what the fuck was the movie? Holding Out for a Hero. I can't think of the movie, but I remember the song.
Maybe it's one of those things where I just didn't recognize that it was her. But anytime I hear Bonnie Tyler, like a total eclipse of the heart is the only thing that comes to mind.
It definitely was the biggest hit, for sure.
Yeah. I don't know if I would put it on the guilty pleasure list because it's a pretty damn good song.
Yeah.
Men at Work, Down Under. I could make an argument that's a guilty pleasure. Billy Ocean. Get out of my dreams and get into my car. Billy Ocean had several top 10 hits in the 80s there. I remember when this song came out, I remember thinking of how absurd the title was.
Yes.
So yeah, this song would definitely go on a guilty pleasure playlist. Kokomo. Aruba, Jamaica, Aruba. Oh man, yeah. Kokomo by the Beach Boys, 1988, as part of the Cocktail soundtrack.
Mm-hmm. Now, my friend got a bird. I don't remember what kind of bird, but she named it Kokomo.
Really?
After this song.
All right, and then Corey Hart, Sunglasses at Night. Nothing about this song stands out to me.
No.
I don't really feel like hitting the video to remind me either. So there are some songs on here that should have been on a Guilty Pleasures playlist. Other ones not so much. These were very much mainstream.
Yeah.
Very popular songs.
Yeah.
You know, I think of the Motley Crue one, you know, right off the top of my head.
Bon Jovi.
Huh?
Bon Jovi. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of them that I would never be ashamed to tell someone I had a Bon Jovi song on my playlist. And to me, that's what a guilty pleasure is. You don't want no one to know that you like it.
Right. Like, for me, if I had said something like Opposites Attract by Paula Abdul, I would probably get laughed at, you know. But make no mistake, that bitch is on the playlist. Right next to Janet Jackson, right next to Gloria Estefan.
Oh, I love her.
Right next to Alana Miles. Alana Miles, back in the day,
Yep.
like chick had it going on.
Yep.
I know.
Yeah, that's when I sit and play like dice or cards or whatever, we each rotate who listens to what. And a lot of our stuff is the same. And I've got Black Velvet on mine. He was like, "Did you put that on for me?" Yep, pretty much. Because when we first started dating, that's all I ever fucking heard. Oh, gosh, she's so beautiful. She's so beautiful. Okay, I got it. Got it.
Hey, she was, but it was her
yeah.
voice that really, like, man, that is a powerful voice.
Absolutely.
And, yeah, I have always been a big fan of hers.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this was a fun list. I enjoyed breaking this one down. So good find, Jill Bain.
Thank you.
Good find. We'll go ahead and start winding this down because we did cross the hour mark. We're running around an hour and 10 minutes at this point. We certainly do appreciate everybody tuning in here this week. Stay tuned to all of our socials for all the latest news and information on this show and all the great shows under the PFC Network, or you can go to pfcnetwork.net. In a few weeks, we are going to start opening up the capabilities of having live call-ins during our shows. Now, this will be specifically geared towards like the live streams that we do for primarily the sports related shows, Sports Reel Podcast, Hot Tag, Pro Wrestling Rewind. But we are going to schedule some different recording sessions for this show ahead of time. So if those who are interested want to be a part of the conversation and be a part of the show, you are going to have that capability here in a couple of weeks. More information on that in between now and then. But I'm still testing the waters in this, and see how this is going to, really work. And you'll be able to get a live demonstration. As this show drops, this will drop on Wednesday. So tonight, Wednesday night, when Tim and I live stream our recording session, you should be able to get the first taste of what that dynamic is going to be like. I'm excited about that. That's going to be pretty cool. And if we can if there's interest of people wanting to join this particular show, there's a lot of fanfare for nostalgia, so that's what we're here for. So stay tuned to all of our social media outlets and pfcnetwork.net for all the information. With that, we're going to hop in our DeLorean and go back to where we're supposed to be, and go out this week, be awesome to yourselves and to each other, and we'll see you next week right here on What the 80s here on the PFC Entertainment Network.